In the previous example, we created all of these dimensions using a Smart Dimension tool. Now, let's talk about using the specific dimension tools. For example, you'll see that we have dimension options like horizontal, vertical, baseline, and so on. Now, most of these dimensions can be added directly using a Smart Dimension tool, but we do have these specific dimensions as well because it will help you add dimensions in a better way. So let's explore these options. But before that, I'll simply delete all of these existing dimensions. So I'll just select it all and delete it. Now I'll go to this one, the horizontal dimension, and as the name suggests, it will help you add only the horizontal dimensions. So if I select this line right here, and then if I select this one, well, that's going to add the first dimension. Once again, I can use the rapid dimensioning method and just select a semicircular half to add it. For example, if I click here, that's the first one that's added, and I can just keep on selecting more edges. For example, this semicircular half, and then maybe this one, and then again semicircular half, and we have the third one. So in this way, we've added this horizontal dimension series. Now, if you go to the next option, which is vertical, of course, it will just add the vertical dimension. For example, from this point to, let's say, this point, we've got the first dimension. So you can also use the rapid dimensioning method if you want to, and if you just don't want to use it, well, you can simply click anywhere in the drawing area. So here, maybe I'll just click on this option, this semicircular half, and that's going to add this dimension. So that's the vertical dimension. All right, now the next one here is baseline dimension. Now, for baseline dimension, all the dimensions start from one single baseline. Now let me show you using this example. So once again, I'll just select all of these dimensions here in the drawing, delete it, and now I'll select the baseline dimension. Now the first thing that you need to do here is select a baseline, and in this case I will click right here on this line, and that's now my baseline. So once you've selected the baseline, the next step is selecting the next point. Now you can select a circle, edge, or anything for the next point. Maybe I'll just select the circle, and here is the baseline. So the dimension from this baseline to this center of the circle is added. If I click again on the second line, that's going to add the next dimension. But once again, if you notice, it's just adding it from this point. If I click again, that's the same point, and again and again. So every single dimension here is measured with respect to this baseline which I initially added. So once added, it will just keep on adding every single dimension with respect to the selected baseline, and that's the baseline dimensioning. Now this baseline dimensioning will definitely work for vertical direction. Right now we're adding it in horizontal. Also, as you can see, this dimension is overlapping this title box. So if you want to, you can actually modify this title box, or you can even move these dimensions to a different place if you want to. In this case, I'm just going to leave the dimensions as it is, and later we'll explore the title block options. So now let's go to this Smart Dimension and select baseline dimension again. Now in this case, I will select a horizontal line. So maybe this one. Now, if you select the horizontal line like this, it will automatically add the vertical baseline dimension. So if I select this, that's the vertical one, the first vertical, second vertical, third, fourth, and the fifth one. So automatically it will add the vertical dimensions. Now, if you feel like the text of these dimensions are kind of big and you want to make it smaller, you can once again do it using any of the two methods. The first method is, of course, you can just go to options and then document properties, dimensions, and here you can change the font size. So you can go to text, font, make it smaller. For example, it is 3.5. Let's make it 2. Click OK and click OK again. And there it is. The font is now smaller. Let's just make it 3.5 again. So I'll go to this document property, dimension, font, and let's just make it 3.5. Back again and OK. So that's the first method. The second method is directly using the dimensions. Now this method won't affect other dimensions that you are adding. The previous method will definitely change the dimension everywhere in your document, but this is not. It's going to affect only the selected dimension. So here I have, as you can see, several selected dimensions. And now once you select it, as you can see, the dimension option will show up, and here just go to this other tab, and right here we have the font option. Right now this use document font is checked, which means it is going to use the font which is predefined here in the document property. Just uncheck this. Click on font and then specify a document font option. So maybe 2.5 in this case, click OK, and now this is smaller. much more smaller than the previous one. But if I add any new dimension now, it's not going to affect that. And that new dimension will automatically take the new properties. In this case, I'll just select the smart dimension and I'll go to this smart dimensioning. Rapid dimensioning is checked. And with that, maybe I'll add the dimensioning from this point to this. And as you can see, this is 28 and this size is 3.5, whereas this is still 2.5. So the document property has not changed, but only the size of these selected dimensions changed. All right, so now let's explore the next one. So now we have seen the baseline dimensioning. Let's see the chain dimensioning. Now chain dimensioning is similar, but in this case, the next dimension starts from the endpoint of previous dimension. Let me show you how it works. So once again, I'll select all these dimensions and delete it. And then I'll go to chain dimension. Now in this case, you need to just start once again from the first point. So maybe I'll just select this line here as the first point, and then I'm going to add the second dimension right about here. So we've got the first dimension added, but now instead of starting everything from this point, it's going to start from the next point. So if I click, the next dimension, as you can see, will start from here to here. Then if I click again, the next will start from the ending point of previous dimension, which is this. So if I click now, the next dimension is from this point to this. And in a similar way, the remaining dimensions will follow. This one is from this point to this, and this is finally from this center to this. So this is chain dimensioning method. Now in this case also, this is horizontal dimension, but if you want to add the vertical one, then you can start with a horizontal line. For example, once again, I'll go to chain dimensioning and I'll select this line right here. And now if I select other dimensions, that's going to add the vertical chain dimensioning like so. So all I've got to do is just keep on clicking and the dimensions are added. And not only that, these dimensions are, as mentioned, from the end point of the previous dimension. So from here to here, then from here to here, and here to here, and so on. That's how the dimensions are added. Now, once again, as you can see, it is just overlapping several of these existing objects like the title block and so on. So we can modify the title block, but in some situations, it may not be possible to kind of modify your title block or remove the text in it. In that case, you can select your dimension and just move it wherever you want. For example, here, I'll just move it like this. So there it is. Now we have room for this. Here it is 26. Maybe I'll just move it like so. And these two are overlapping, so we can just move it slightly up. All right. Now, if you want to just make room for this one, you can select this view and just move this entire view up so that we have more room for the dimensions. So in this way also, you can modify the dimensioning slightly, just like that.